Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing the 250 mile update on the ASICS Jolt 3. It's one of the 3 budget shoes I'm testing this year, and I finally hit 250 miles with this budget running shoe. So I'm going to give you my update. Do I still feel the same? Have my likes and dislikes changed at all? Do I like it more or less than when I first started running it, or when I did the 100 mile review? So let's dive straight in. So this is the second shoe that I've managed to hit 250 miles in now in this budget shoe rotation. The first one was the Adidas Duramo 10, which I did a review, 250 mile update review not long ago. I've now hit 250 miles in the ASICS, so I'm just going to go again, give a quick update. I'm not going to go on for too much detail. Again, I've done an initial run vlog, I'll tag that there, and I've also done a 100 mile review. I'll tag that there as well. So go and watch those if you haven't already. This is the 250 mile update. So I'm just going to give you if anything's changed, maybe review the scores I gave last time and amend them if necessary, and how I've started to use this more and more. Has anything changed, like I said, since the initial reviews? So let's get on with it. So again, those that have not watched the previous ones, I won't go into too much detail, but we're going to go back and watch those. I bought these for £33, so a real budget running shoe, and I was quite harsh in the initial reviews. And they're very clumpy, very heavy, not particularly responsive. They weren't particularly smooth to run in. So this was probably my most disappointing shoe from the initial runs. So how has that changed going up to 250 miles? I believe there's probably a breaking in period with these shoes. They seem to have loosened off a little bit now. It's still a firm foam. It's always going to be a firm foam. But I've now started to use these more for what they're probably best at. So speed work, tempo work, threshold stuff. I tend to not use these for any kind of recovery or slower pace runs. They're just not particularly comfortable to run in at that pace, or very easy to run in that pace. They feel very clumpy, like I mentioned earlier. But again, I've kind of come to find out what they're best for. I've obviously put them into that category now, and they're great for that kind of purpose and that usage. So with it, as always, I start with the Outsole. Again, apologies if it's a bit muddy. I've used these in all terrains and all weathers. I don't baby the shoes at all. At the 100 mile review, I gave it a 7 out of 10. I'll creep that up to a 7.5 out of 10 at the 250 mile review update today. It's still quite a bit of rubber, it's still quite clumpy, grip's good, but yeah, personally for my preference, it's not particularly flexible. You don't get a lot of feedback. Like I said, there's a lot of rubber involved, so it's gone from a 7 to a 7.5, so it's gone slightly better. Like I said, the grip's not an issue. It's just the amount of rubber isn't my preference. There's quite a lot of rubber there, so again, durability-wise, it should last quite well. But yeah, Outsole, we'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. Midsole, I touched upon it briefly then, that it is quite a firm midsole. It's one of the firmest midsoles of any shoes I've kind of ever worn. And again, initially I was a bit disappointed. Obviously, my preference is generally a slightly softer, squishier foam. Obviously, a more responsive foam is obviously of everyone's preference to some extent. The other 2 shoes have got a slightly more responsive and slightly softer foams, which are my preferences. But again, I've come to like this more and more as time's gone on. Again, like I mentioned earlier, this was probably the most disappointing shoe I had at the 3 at the initial run, and definitely, and probably still so at the 100 mile review. Now on 250 miles in, and it's definitely broken in. I do tend to grab this now for any shorter, faster, quicker stuff. It's a kind of a do-it-all, solid workhorse daily trainer now. But again, I tend to link it more to the quicker stuff. Like I said, it's a firmer foam, so that lends itself to not go too long on your runs, and it helps me to maintain my speed when I'm getting my legs turned over. I think I've managed to set a 5k PB in this earlier in the year, so again, it is pretty good. It's not the heaviest of the 3. I believe that was the Adidas was the heaviest of the 3. The New Balance is the lightest, but again, it's all grams really at this stage with the kind of modern shoes. But yeah, the midsole wasn't to my liking initially, but as it's kind of worn in and broken in a little bit now, it's a bit more comfortable than it was. It's still firm, which again lends me to kind of use it for the quicker speed stuff. So again, I give it a 6.5 out of 10 of the 100 mile review. I'm going to creep that up to, again, just another half point to up to 7. Next broken in, it is a bit more enjoyable to run in, I suppose. It's not my favourite midsole I've ever worn, but again, it's for the price. For £33, it does its job. It helps me to run quickly, do shorter, faster speed work stuff. But yeah, so overall for the midsole after 250 miles, we're going to give it 7 out of 10. The upper now, so that was one of probably the more solid elements of this shoe even from the get-go. It's very breathable, very light. I think it's a single kind of mesh construction, maybe a double mesh construction. Actually, thinking about double mesh construction. Not gusseted tongue, is it? No, not gusseted tongue. But again, fairly lightweight, breathable, but has all the reinforcements kind of in the toe area and a few of these overlays on the sides, and the heel count is quite particularly firm. So again, it adds up to the weight of the shoe, but overall, the upper was one of the more pleasing parts of the shoe. Really breathable, nice easy lockdown. Laces don't generally loosen off once I'm running. So again, I gave it an 8.5 out of 10 at the 100 mile review. I'm going to stick with that. It hasn't got any better, it hasn't got any worse. That's one element that's just maintained a constant throughout the 250 miles so far. The outsole was grown on me, the midsole was grown on me, the upper was always pretty good, and it's remained that way. So we're going to stick with 8.5 out of 10 for the upper. So rolling into value now, I gave this an 8 out of 10 at the 100 mile review. I got it for £33, and again, value for me encompasses enjoyableness of the shoe and durability kind of combined. If I mentioned some of my other reviews, what is value, but for me, if it's a really expensive shoe but really enjoyable and lasts a while, then that could be classed as good value, and vice versa. If it's a cheap shoe but isn't particularly enjoyable but does last quite a while, that could be classed as pretty good value as well. So value for me is a combination of enjoy and how much do I enjoy the shoe and how much do I think the shoe's going to last. Now, I wasn't enjoying the shoe initially that much, but it was really, really cheap, so I couldn't give it too low of a score. The durability looked pretty good, so I gave it an 8 out of 10. Now I'm enjoying it a little bit more. I'm going to creep it up to 8.5 out of 10. For value, okay, for £33, provided it doesn't fall off my feet after 5 miles, it was a pretty safe bet. It was always going to be a pretty good value score. Like I said, you can't really get any kind of running shoe or trainer for that kind of price bracket nowadays. And again, I was disappointed in it at first, but I do think there was that breaking in period now. It's kind of broken in. 8.5 out of 10 for value, actually £33. I'll go into durability in a second, but it's going to last like a while. So I'm pretty happy with the value I've paid and what I can get out of it now. As I said, I do tend to use it for shorter, faster speed work, on-off workouts, intervals. It can be used for those. It can be used for longer runs and or easy recovery days as well. If it was my one and only shoe, I would obviously use it for that, but it's not the most comfortable, like I said. Not the smoothest ride overall of any shoes. So, but yeah, overall for value, 8.5 out of 10 after 250 miles. And then last but not least, just to wrap up before I do the summary, is the durability. So yeah, it's going to last a while. The outsole rubber is starting to show a little bit of wear and tear on the kind of ball of the foot, the main kind of impact and main abrasion areas where I run. Sometimes the outer edge of the heel, which again is showing a few tiny bits of signs. But we're 250 miles in. There's not massive amounts of wear and tear, so I think it's probably going to do at least another 200, 250 again, probably, before it starts to see major wear and tear. So I'm going to go with at least 500 miles as a 450, 500 miles minimum, I think, for the prediction for lifespan. The midsole is that firm; it's not really going to soften up and die. I don't think. It might get firmer, but again, the fact I'm using it for speed work, it helps me to maintain my speed, my leg speed, my turnover. So the midsole should last a decent amount of time as well. It'll be probably the outsole that wears down the first. The upper is pretty durable, so again, that's going to last and last, I think. So I give it a 9 out of 10 for durability at the 100 mile review. Nothing has really changed my mind. There's a bit of wear and tear on the outsole rubber, but like I said, I've done 250 miles now, so I'd expect to see some bits of wear and tear, which is normal. So I'm going to stick with 9 out of 10 for durability score, which again is pretty good. And again, that's a slightly higher score because of the fact it's going to be durable and it's a really low price. So it's value and durability tend to cross over and dovetail a little bit. So 9 out of 10 for durability after 250 miles. So yeah, so just a quick summary now. After 100 miles, I gave it a 39 out of 50, which was 78%. Now after 250 miles, it's got 40.5 out of 50, which is 81%. So the more I've used it, the more I've liked it. That's kind of been the case for 2 of the 3 budget shoes. I've already done the Adidas Duramo 10 250 mile review. I always liked that shoe from the first time I wore it. That was my favourite of the 3 and probably remains my favourite even after 250 miles. That's got a lot of the things I like in a running shoe in terms of the geometry of the shoe, the limited amount of rubber on the outsole, etc. But again, you can go and watch that review and see why I like that shoe. This one was probably my least favourite, but as I've used it now and I've found its strengths and weaknesses, and I tend to lean towards its strengths, I'm liking this shoe more and more. And this has probably been the most improved in terms of how much I liked it to how much I like it now. This has definitely become far more likeable in terms of when I grab it and what I want to use it for. So that's one aspect of it, that it's broken in a little bit now and it's far more enjoyable to run in, especially when I'm using it for, like I said, its main usage, and it's what it's best at in terms of the speed work. New Balance 680 V7 yet isn't too far away. I'm pretty much up to 250 miles with that as well. So look out for that vlog, probably dropping next week. I'm going to give an update on that. That one was kind of in the middle. I liked it more than the ASICS. I liked it less than the Adidas. It's probably, again, they're all three now. I quite like all three of them, to be fair. And considering it was a budget experiment, I wasn't sure if any one of the three wouldn't be usable or would be a complete bust in terms of how good they were as a running shoe. I'm implementing them all within my half marathon training. They're all doing a job for me. Like I said, the ASICS is more for the shorter, faster speed work. The Adidas is generally for the recovery days, but I do a bit of everything in that, but mainly the easy recovery days. And the New Balance is generally my longer runs, because it's the dual density one that I use for longer, more comfortable, protect the legs over a longer run. So I'll look out for that review next week. So yeah, just to summarise, this shoe has definitely got better as I've used it more. It's still on offer now, I think on sale. You can pick it up for quite a bargain basement price. It's a workhorse daily trainer, does a bit of everything, like most of the like kind of all three shoes are. It's definitely more preferable for me personally to be used for shorter, faster speed work. But if you've only got one shoe and you've only got a small budget and you want to go out and get that, I would go and happily recommend the ASICS Jolt 3 as a potential one single daily trainer. It's a bargain basement price. It can do a bit of everything. It's better at the shorter, faster stuff. But for the price you get, it can do a bit of everything and will last for a good length of time and will be definitely value for money for the price you're going to pay for it. So that's the wrap up there. That's a 250 mile review. Like I said, look out for the New Balance 680 V7 250 mile review dropping next week. If you haven't watched the previous reviews of this shoe or any of the other three shoes, again, go through the playlist for the running gear review playlist. They're all in there. It's been quite a popular series, this one with the budget running shoe, in terms of people, I think, quite interested to see how good or bad these shoes have turned out to be. And I'm quite pleasantly surprised. I was a bit nervous myself in terms of they might not be very good at all, and I might have to go out and buy again. So like that old adage of buy cheap, buy twice. I thought I might have to go out and get a better quality shoe, but touch wood, they're all doing okay. They're all keeping me kind of injury free at the moment in terms of my half marathon training. It's been a fairly intensive 2 blocks now, in the second block now, so they've done well. They've done everything I've asked of them. So I'll wrap it up there. As always, thank you for watching. Look out for all the upcoming vlogs. I've got my half marathon training recaps will continue. I'm coming towards the end of that training block now, so look out for that. And race day coming up. I'll continue to drop review vlogs as and when I hit the milestones. And I've obviously got a few other ideas and vlogs, a variety of vlogs planned in the upcoming months. So look out for those. Like I said, I do appreciate everyone watching, and I will see everyone on the next one.